long-term recovery, integration, and support by working with locals. Although it is the difficult circumstance that has brought us here, but I'm still very much grateful for IsraAID and慈济to have this opportunity to come together. Today, we have a representatives in 3 locations gathered here from Israel, United States, and Taiwan. We also have many friends and families joining us on Zoom and YouTube. Thank you all for being here to celebrate and bear witness to these landmark collaborations in Romania and Moldova. At the start of this ceremony, I would like to share everyone the humanitarian works of both organizations leading up to today. First, I will begin with the IsraAID and the wonderful works that they are doing in Romania and Moldova, and for the internally displaced people in Ukraine. Let's watch the video.
IsraAID is Israel's leading non-profit humanitarian aid organization.
We work all over the world in all kinds of crises, whether it's a refugee crisis or there's been a natural event, a hurricane, an earthquake, something of that sort.
IsraAID makes a huge effort right after a disaster to be the first one to come in.
We're doing immediate relief. We usually arrive on the ground within the first 72 hours to provide medical support, trauma counseling, provide people with access to clean water.
We do everything as quickly as possible and organize and send a team out there to do the assessments and give the people at least the immediate relief.
But even more important, we stay. We stay in countries for a period between 2 years, 3 years, and sometimes even 8 years to help the communities build back better, to help them rebuild their lives and develop community resilience.
The big blue tent, that's a tent that IsraAID has put up together with a local organisation, and we're just really trying to provide a safe, warm space specifically for mothers and babies. Inside the tent we have a special area dedicated for children where the volunteers who are trained by IsraAID are providing kind of psychosocial support, recreational activities, a space for the kids to settle for a minute and the parents to breathe.
First to come in, stay for a long term, and help them build back better. Thank you for the heartwarming and touching videos. And慈济has also been assisting refugees on this journey to safety over the last 2 months. Let us watch a video clip of慈济's relief in Poland.
虽然台湾很远，全世界美国很远，西班牙很远，德国很远。这一次的赈灾有9个国家的慈济人到这个地方来，我们就是代替上人还有全球慈济人到这个地方把爱送到这里来。
Я відразу щось таке відчула, що я щось не зрозуміла, не може такого бути. Але дуже приємно і дуже неочікувано.
Те, що ми отримали фінансову допомогу, це дуже багато, але я найбільше отримала це та сама підтримка, як і казали, кожен по зернятку, кожен крапельку душі своєї передав нам.
Я знаю точно, що ми зможемо, я зможу піти зі своєю дитиною. В себе я можу купити, поїсти. У нас є продукти, є речі першої необхідності, так сказати.
现在此刻呢，跟你我同时间、不同国度、不同的空间，是有这样的苦难。我们现在的这个时候，很辛苦在规划，来救这一波的灾难。我们有美国的慈济人，有法国，有德国，有荷兰，有土耳其，有波兰当地的人，这都是慈济人的团队，纷纷呢要报道，纷纷要规划如何去帮助他们。我们现在跟儿童基金会、国际间NGO 的大机构，大家要合作。跟这么多的慈善机构要合约，去帮助，总是这人人爱有人，慈济一股力量，要在这样的国际上去跟大家合力投入，所以我们大家更需要呢。3个国家加起来就是协力，我们呢大家协力核心到那里去发放真诚的爱，送到那样悲凄苦难的地方，让他们呢得到了一份温馨。
One day the material goods will be used up, but love and care will be forevermore. I would like to commend both organizations for the wonderful and essential works that IsraAID and慈济has been doing in the neighboring country of Poland, Moldova, and Romania. I believe putting all our resources together, our support for those displaced can go longer, further, and deeper. Now, I will have our opening reflection from our respective organizations. So firstly, I would love to invite Mr. Deborah Budor from Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation to give us the opening remark. Deborah, Tzu Chi has been friends with Israel for a very long time, working together in the US. Could you talk about your experience in this partnership? And secondly, I would like to know, you will be traveling to Moldova and Romania in the coming weeks. What are your plans and collaboration with Israel in these two countries? Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah, and nice to see you, Yotam. Dear friends of IsraAID and Buddha Tzu Chi Foundation, it is my great honor to speak on behalf of the Tzu Chi Foundation in the start of this collaboration with IsraAID. I remember, we know Yotam back to September 21st, Taiwan 1999 earthquake. At that time, Yotam already mentioned, and the team did go back to Taiwan in Taichung to provide social cycle and trauma services in a very short term. And from that, we know each other through national volunteer organization active in disasters. So a lot of time we come across each other's in various airports. And I remember Yotam told me his time always up in the air from country to country, bury the humanitarian missions. So it's really a long journey to carry out this compassion. And I'm very grateful to be able to join this ceremony from California, United States. But tomorrow I'm going to travel on my second trip to Poland and the first trip to Romania and Moldova with a team from Taiwan and United States to conduct assessment, work with local volunteers, meet with our partners such as IsraAID, Red Cross, UNICEF, and more to build capacity to reach more people with Tzu Chi's assistance. Honestly, the first trip when we arrived in Poland, we reached to Medyka, Poland and Ukraine border. From there, we saw a lot of children and women really need a lot of supports. And the second trip, we're going to be in Romania and then Moldova. Again, thanks to Yotam, your team, we know we have a very strong, good hands. And this time, we really want to implement a lot of so-called long-term partnerships. This journey is not a quick one. It's going to be a long social cycle support. In addition to Tzu Chi's own relief work, we are also proud to support IsraAID in your humanitarian response for children and women of Ukraine who are arriving to Moldova and other neighboring countries. Tzu Chi is committed to elevating the suffering of all those in need and recognize the vital role that IsraAID plays in very important function that women and children on the move can receive the systematic support they need to continue along their journey to a better life. And the displaced population with the assistance of food, lively items, and medical supplies. We have confidence in IsraAID's integrated and cross-cutting approach to meeting the needs of women and children in response to the crisis and creating long-term sustainable solutions. As we share a mission and commitment to meeting the needs of the most vulnerable with dignity and respect. Similar to how IsraAID is there before, during, and after emergencies, we at Tzu Chi commit to striving to be the first to arrive and the last to leave or to support the communities in need. IsraAID, through the video, we see the expertise, the scale, and the reach to deliver the impact. And we at Tzu Chi are happy to celebrate this momentous occasion where we step forward together toward ensuring that those who are in the midst of this crisis can feel a lasting sense of love and care from people around the world and provide a spark of hope for the brighter tomorrow. Again, we are very grateful we have this opportunity to have this momentum's documentation moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah, and wish you have a safe trip to Romania and Moldova. Now I would like to invite Ms. Tamar Koski-Lazar's Chief Development of Communication Officer of Israel. Tamar, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and hello to everyone, especially to CEO Yen, Deputy CEO George, Deputy CEO Simon, US CEO Deborah, all from the Tzu Chi Foundation, and of course to Yotam, our CEO from IsraAID. First of all, we really want to thank you for this very special event, which celebrates the launch of the partnership and collaboration between IsraAID and Tzu Chi Foundation. we really do know that this is going to have a huge impact on those affected by the Ukrainian crisis. As you heard, IsraAID is Israel's largest non-governmental humanitarian aid agency, and we provide both emergency response but also long-term development support around the world. So we're already really thinking about how we can support this crisis for the long term. So just to give a little bit of background to IsraAID's response so far in this crisis. So the IsraAID emergency response team arrived in Moldova just 2 days after the war began. And we've been working ever since in both Moldova and Romania. And we're very excited for the opportunity and grateful for the opportunity to continue this work in partnership with the Suchi Foundation. So in Moldova, so far, this has included providing a large number of urgent relief supplies, including hygiene kits, winter items, baby kits, but also medical, psychological, psychosocial, and educational support to Ukrainian refugees at the border, but also in shelters and within the community. So amongst other things and other activities, this has also included a warm, safe women and children's space in a tent at the border, which I think you saw in the video. A heated and equipped tent that's staffed by IsraAID trained local volunteers, which is really the first point of comfort and support for many of these refugees who are crossing over. Also facilitating many child-safe spaces in the multiple shelters across the cities, and also working closely with the Ministry of Education and the Moldovan education system to really try and support how we can absorb a large number of Ukrainian refugee children into the system. And then, as you also saw in the video and heard a little bit, in Romania, we've been working very closely with local and international partners to run the Tulcea Humanitarian Logistics Hub, which is currently the only verified supply chain for humanitarian aid directly into the entirety of southern Ukraine. So far that's included over 23 million food rations, and also many medical supplies and other urgent relief items that's really hitting southern Ukraine from Odessa to Kharkiv. So we're very grateful for the opportunity to continue this work and scale up the operations through this very important partnership, because as we all know, the need is very urgent and ongoing. So yes, so to conclude, we know that with this new important partnership, the scale and the scope of our work together can only increase. So it's really been a pleasure so far to get to know the wonderful team at the Suchi Foundation, and we're very excited to continue to work closely together for now and for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tamar. And thank you for the opening remark from both organization representative Deborah and Tamar for highlighting the journey leading up to today's signing ceremony. And we can feel the excitement of both organizations toward the collaborations of this project. Now we will move to the moment that we have been looking forward since our first talk of a partnership, the signing of the collaboration agreement. Can I kindly invite Israel's global CEO Yotam Polizer and Tzuji's CEO Bowen Yin to pick up your pen and put your signature on the collaboration agreement. Thank you for signing the collaboration agreement, and please hold out your agreement and we can take a group photo. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. And we have the agreement signed. This marks the start of our project and collaborations. And now I would like to invite Mr. Yotam Polizer, Global CEO of IsraAID, and to give us some remarks. Yotam, and now with the agreement signed, what do you envision for this project, and what are you looking forward to the most from this collaboration? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you again, CEO Yan. Thank you, Deputy CEO George, Deputy CEO Simon, and of course, my good and old friend, US CEO Deborah. First of all, I would just like to join Tamar, my colleague, and to share how grateful and humbled we are by your trust and confidence and this wonderful partnership. As Tamar mentioned and as Deborah mentioned, this is really a long-term journey. Unfortunately, we've seen this in many other crises around the world. The attention from media and donors and volunteers is very limited. Usually it's only for a month or 2 or 3 maximum. So we are so grateful for this long-term partnership. We know that the situation in Ukraine and neighboring countries will continue to be very concerning, and there will be a lot of challenges, a lot of long-term challenges. To name a few, mental health, trauma, education, long-term recovery. Even if there will be some sort of agreement, we know that the road to recovery is very long inside the Ukraine. So we are so grateful again for this partnership that will allow us to provide long-term support for the next 2 years at least. So I'm very hopeful and I'm very optimistic from this partnership. We, as Tamar mentioned, we have been working since day 2 after the invasion, after the war started, with the communities there. And this is really a team effort. This is not a project or a crisis that could be addressed by one organization. We need many partnerships. And for us, the partnership with Tzuchi Foundation is a key strategic partnership. And together with the Tzuchi Foundation, the local Moldovan community, the local community in Romania, and of course, many of our other Ukrainian partners, we truly believe that we can make a long-lasting impact and improve people's lives. I would also mention that Tzuchi, Deborah mentioned the earthquake in Taiwan, where we responded in partnership with Tzuchi Foundation. I actually remember the first time that I met Tzuchi volunteers on the ground. It was in the Philippines after Typhoon Haiyan in 2013. And I remember we were trying to help some of the people who lost their homes. And I saw this group of wonderful people with huge smiles on their faces and with so much compassion and care, supporting the local community. And I was mind blown. I didn't know, where are these people from and which organization. And they mentioned that they're from Taiwan and they're from the Tzuchi Foundation, and it really inspired me deeply. And since then, I was always very curious, and I was always very hopeful that we will be able to partner. And it's been 9 years already since Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines. So for me personally, and for us at IsraAID, this is a very unique moment. Unfortunately, the reasons that we are partnering are not very positive, but the opportunity to partner with the Tzuchi Foundation gives us at IsraAID great hope. Last but not least, I would like to mention our teams on the ground. We are here participating in the ceremony. I will join the visit next week, and Tamar just came back. But the real difficult work day in, day out is done by the teams on the ground, both in Moldova and Romania, and of course our partners. So we couldn't have done this without them. And I would like to recognize from here the incredible, tireless efforts of our team on the ground and our teams around the world. And of course, Tsuchi, incredible volunteers around the world. Really, they are the ones who actually make things happen, who actually build back better. Thank you.
Thank you, Yotam, and thank you for your team and your volunteers to work together for this crisis. And now I would like to invite Mr. Paul Wen-Yan, CEO of the Buddhist Tzu-Chi Charity Foundation. Paul Wen, what do you envision for this 2 years collaboration? And the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Yotam, for your kind words. Dear Yotam, Lisa, Global CEO, and Tamakowski, Lazarus, Global Chief of Development and Communications Officer, and our CEO of USA Tzu Chi Foundation, Sister Deborah, and our team in Romania, and friends, family of IsraAID and Tzu Chi Foundation. I'm more than delighted to have signed the collaboration agreement, making the start of this partnership between IsraAID and Buddhist Tzu Chi Charity Foundation to assist Ukrainian refugees and internally displaced people fleeing from the conflict, with a special focus on women and children. Ever since its founding 56 years ago, Tzu Chi Foundation has paid special attention to helping displaced people, whether due to poverty, disaster, or natural disasters, and conflict. In recent years, we have had the opportunity to assist the refugees around the world, including Turkey, Thailand, Malaysia, Jordan, as well as in Serbia. Since the start of hostilities in Ukraine, Dharma Master Zheng Yan, the founder of Tzu Chi Foundation, has continually expressed her concern for the population of Ukraine, especially for those who have been displaced by the conflict. Buddhist Tzu Chi Charity Foundation has today held 62 distributions across the 4 cities in Poland, providing care and love, including Biedronka gift cards, eco blankets, sleeping bags, food items, and more, with plan to expand the aid to reach more than 45,000 individuals by June. However, in recognizing that this crisis requires collaborative efforts to ensure that all needs are met, Buddhist Tzu Chi Foundation is therefore excited to partner with IsraAID. In this initial stage, the collaboration will provide necessities, medical items, child safe space, safeguard the physical and psychosocial well-being to those fleeing refugees. More importantly, we came to understand that this crisis will have long-lasting impacts on well-being of children, and with our shared commitment, the last to live, IsraAID and Tzu Chi partnership will be a duration of 2 years to support children through their transition period by assisting students to continue education and reduce the risk of academic impacts, setting up remote learning centers and assisting families in their integration into local communities. We have faced that this partnership between IsraAID and Tzu Chi will support those affected by the crisis through a holistic and integrated approach. And we would like to thank our donors for the support that allow us to reach the Ukrainian refugees. One's strengths may be small, but together we can move mountains. Lastly, I would like to thank IsraAID for the wonderful work that your team is doing in moving forward, for our partnership to assist those in need with a lasting sense of love and care. May there be a swift end of the conflict. Refugees and internally displaced persons be able to soon return home and resume their lives in peace and safety. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for your remarks. With the gathering of Israel and Tzu Chi friends and families, I'm pleased to conclude this signing ceremony. May the collaboration between our two organizations serve the Ukrainian refugees in their time of need, and may the conflict end and those displaced return or find a place of safety. Thank you all for joining today's ceremony. Thank you.